Alright guys, welcome back. So let's take a look at another problem we're gonna face, which is large files. Again, I'm gonna do with just this main branch, but remember that you should always start a new branch when you need to do it. I do it on the main branch for the simplicity of the demo. Okay, again, every new task starts with a new branch and end with merging that branch into the main branch and push and delete the branch. Okay, alright. Now let's go show in Explorer. Let's say that we're adding something fairly big. Okay, so in my download folder, I do have like a large file that's just a little bit beyond 100 megabytes. 100 megabytes is the limitation, okay, for a single file on GitHub. So if I have this file added in to the project, okay, and then if you go to the repository, you can see now we have this large file, right? I'm gonna say added a large file. Okay, pretty huge file, something like that. And then I'm gonna commit it. You can see it's already saying, hey, this one is over 100 megabytes. If you commit these files, you will no longer be able to push this repository to GitHub. Okay, so we recommend you avoid committing these files or use git large file to store large file on GitHub. So this is very important. When this happens, you should never say commit anyway. You should never click on that, otherwise the solution will be a bit more complex. You should always say cancel. Okay, then what you do then? Well, you cannot commit it with that. You have to track it with large file system first. So to do that, you go to the folder, okay, and type in cmd again to pop up the command prompt. Remember that we installed the large file system there. What you have to do is say git large file system track, and then you track that file. Okay, so you can just say large file. Okay, a dot, I believe it's a zip file. Actually .rar. Okay, and that's how you do it to track it as large file. Okay, now this is just because we're in the root directory, so you can do just large file .rar, right? If yours is not, let me just cut it out and put it into the content folder. Let's say that it's in here. Then what you have to do is here again, cmd. Right, you have to say, hey, git large file system track, and then you have to say content, because it's in the content folder, right, relative to the current root directory content, and then large file, let me copy that name and put it in here, .rar. Okay, and then you can see now it's tracking the large file there, and you can also see that information here by going back to the folder. Having so many folders open, let me close them all. And then let me go to the changes. Can I open? Yeah, show it in Explorer here. So if you look at the git ignore or git attribute file now, you can see how that git attribute actually added in this one as being tracked with large file system. Okay, and that's all you have to do to make it work again. Anything bigger than 100 megabytes, or when you commit this, there is a warning there. Never say commit anyway. Do cancel and do this. Okay, git large file system track, and then the relative directory, name of the file, and then make sure that the tracking is in there. That means that we're actually now tracking it with large file storage. Okay, and then we can go here and then just commit again. I can see now, first of all, there's no complaint, and secondly, you can push it over no problem. Although it's going to take some time because that's 100 megabytes. Hopefully my internet is not the fastest, so it's going to take some time, but it's going to be able to push it nicely. Right? Remember, never say commit anyways, right? Especially when it's saying that you are having too big of a file. If you commit, then yes, you cannot push it anymore, right? Unfortunately, that's the problem that we have to deal with earlier with one of the Synersis project, and we have to actually revamp the history to do that, which I'll show you how to solve that issue. Okay, but at the moment, right, let's just wait for that push to be finished. Let me pause the video actually. When it's finished, I'm going to continue from there. Alright guys, so the pushing is finished. As you can see now, it's already online. Let's look at that. See how we're actually seeing that large file in there, which is nice, right? So this is how you track big files. Okay. Alright. Now of course there will be mistakes, and there will be like something you cannot avoid. Like you have a map you're working on, it was small, and then it does grow into 100 megabytes. And when it was small, you're tracking it with the normal system. And then when it reaches beyond 100 megabytes, it has to be tracked as large file system. But there's history that's already saying that it's a normal file. So let me show you that by mimicking the same issue. So let's say that we have another large file. Okay. And large file 01 or something like that. So let's say that someone is working on the file, and this is going to be another big file. Okay, and you committed it, and then someone hit commit anyway. So that's in history already, right? And then somewhere down the way, you did additional things. I don't know, maybe you make a little turn right on the bottom. Save that. Okay, so there's another change here. Updated map. Updated map, right? Added a little turn at the bottom, right? So there's some other works done right here. So you have two local commits. One of them is actually having that big file there, right? And then you did some other things. So in this whole time, maybe you have a lot of work done. You don't want it to be going back, and you try to push. And it may look okay, but then at the point that you are dealing with that large file, you actually get an error because it's telling you, hey, well, that 100 megabytes is beyond limit, right? Let me pause the video until that warning pops up. All right, as you can see now, this is not a surprise, right? We're seeing, hey, it's saying that the file is exceeds the file size restriction of 100 megabytes, so we can't do that, right? Please remove the file from history or try again, right? Now we think, hey, why don't we just add it as large file system? Well, let's try that, right? So go back here, and then we can say git large file system track that 01, right? Because that's our large file underscore 01 in the content. Okay, we could add it to the tracking, right? That would work. Okay, all right. And indeed, if you go back here, you can see now we have that in Git attributes. You can see how that one is modified to be tracked with large file system as well. So we can also see the new one there, right? That looks okay in here, and you would think that this will work, but if you try to push origin again, you'll get the same error. Let me pause the video until that pops up. Alright, as you can see now, the error pops up again, even we're having that new file to be tracked as large file. The problem is how Git work internally. If I may draw out another image here. So when we're tracking the history, let's just say the history is from the bottom up. Somewhere down the way at the point that you got that warning, right, we have this 103 megabytes file there, and that was committed. Right, we set commit anyway. So that history here is saying there is a 103 megabyte file here that's tracked as normal files, right? Let me say track normal here. Then later on, a few steps later, we say, okay, that 103 needs to be large file system. So this history is saying, hey, that 103 megabytes is tracked with large file system, right? But remember that every history is a real snapshot of the project. So this snapshot is the problem, right? This one is actually okay. But when you're pushing, you're also pushing that particular snapshot, that particular history. And in that history, this one is a normal tracking, which is what the problem okay, not this one. So even we're tracking here, we're not tracking here. So any bigger file that's beyond 103, not only that they have to be tracked here right now, but the entire history down the way should also be recognized this one as not tracked no more, but to be, oh, why do I need that ruler there? I don't need that, take that off. To be not tracked no more, this one has to be changed to track large file system to make everything okay, right? So that's the problem. So what do we do then? Well, there's another command that we need to do back here to the command prompt. So not only that we add it to large file system, we also have to do git large file system, and then we have to migrate and import dash dash include will be equals to the file again. So that's going to be content, and then / and then larg file 01.rar. This is saying, hey, not only that we are tracking it as a large file system, now we're migrating the previous history into also the large file storage system, right? That's what we're trying to do here. Make sure that I don't have any typo there. I hit enter, right? Does it do anything? Sometimes you have to double click on it to see it update. No, doesn't do that. Let me try that again. Git large file system, migrate, import. Maybe I have a typo there, and then dash dash include equals to content, and then larg file 01.rar. Yeah, now it's running it. Okay, so this is going to say all uncommitted changes will be lost. I'm say okay, hit yes. Okay, now what's going on here now is that the entire history, right, is now keeping tracking of this one file as large file system, not only that one particular history. Okay, all right, now back here, let's try again. I don't know where that file goes. Let's try to push origin. Let's check the files actually. So we have the large file here. Yeah, that's right. You can see now how that one becomes 1 KB, because it's not actually something it's not something here locally anymore, right? It's actually something online. So and it's basically keeping a pointer of that large file there. So what we need to do is, I think we can just push origin here right now, and there shouldn't be any change, any problem. And then if you go back here to the GitHub, you can see now how we do have our large file 01 there, right? If you check that one's size, you can see it is indeed that 103 size. So it is all good now, right? Just like this one, it's now pushed online. But the problem is that why are we seeing it as just a 1 KB file in here? That's because we have this file as a pointer, right? So what we need to do is basically this. We just do git large file system fetch. Okay, this will fetch the actual file. Okay, and then if we go back here and then let's refresh again. Does it do that? No. We need to probably fetch the everything here, or large file system fetch, and then let's fetch the everything. I guess we can do this, a star dot and another star. No, I need to fetch from the origin, maybe. Reference from origin man, fetch, let's fetch the file, maybe that's why. Content larg file 01.rar. Oh, I need to add git in there. Okay, let's take a look at that. One thing to notice that is this one is it's not fetching in there. Let me check the fetching mechanic real quick. It's actually just large file system fetch dash all. Now we'll fetch all. Hopefully, no. Doesn't fetch all. Origin min. Okay, let's check. No, still not fetched. Right, I was using fetch, so maybe we need to use poll instead. Large file system poll. And let's see how that one does. Yeah, now you can see we have the large file updated to the correct size now, and that's when everything is okay, right? So yeah, be really careful about large file system. You can see we got that error, we have to deal with it. I personally don't deal with this problem as much before, because previously we are not dealing much files. Like this is the new era of game development, that you have super big files like that. And this doesn't happen as much, so that's why this is something that you want to be really careful about. Whenever there's a large file system, you need to get it to work by actually changing it to be tracked with large file storage. If not, problem like this would happen. Yeah, so be really careful about it. I think that's it for the large file tracking. And worst scenario though, if something broken and we cannot fix it, it's always a good there's the last resort will be we make a new repository and just copy everything over, and then we start tracking that file as a large file in the beginning. So that's still okay. All right, that's it for the Git tutorial. Hopefully all those informations are helpful, and of course in the middle we may face other issues down the way. So if you need to, oh, actually there's quite a few things I think I still need to be mentioning. Yeah, let me add in another video. Actually, I need to teach you how to go back through history. That's one thing I didn't tell you, so we're gonna check out that in the next video. Okay, see you guys next time.